Good evening, and here's the video review for Transformers Prime Beast Hunters Voyager Optimus Prime. He's a beefier truck than we've seen before. I've seen comments referring to him as a Cybertronian garbage truck. I think that's a little misguided, but your mileage may vary. It's up to you. He does have all his weapons attached right here. He's got the launchers here, which on the box are referred to as ionic pulse launchers. The instructions refer to them as Eagle Fire missile launchers. So whatever you want to call them, ionic pulse launchers or Eagle Fire missile launchers. And remember, like, Bumblebee has like the Eagle Shot bow, so they really like eagles here for the good guys. But the weapons, he does come with a Star Saber as well, in a translucent green for whatever reason. Now, the packaging pictures on the box also show the missiles as being molded in that same translucent green. You'll notice they are molded gray here. I don't know if they maybe swapped it over to a different mold form or what. But yeah, there you go. But these come off, and these can open up to be held. Like, to kind of make them look like a bow or something. You'll notice, like, on both of them, one side has a tendency to just droop. So if you don't have them perfectly straight or level, or in a situation like this, these do like to fold up on themselves. Easily fixed with your joint tightener of choice, but just be aware they do that. And again, you can see it is always the right one. I guess right if you're facing you, left if you're looking at the bottom of it. But yeah. If you look at them from the top, it's always the one on this side. Interesting. So yeah, we'll pull those off and get to him. There he is, unadorned. Kind of looking vaguely cabin trailerish, but mostly just kind of Mad Maxy with the spiky truck mode. He does have translucent green windows and translucent green eyes. Again, not sure why that is, because again, the box art has him with black windows and blue eyes. So who knows what that is? People are speculating that it may be Synthen. I don't know if we even are going to get these models in the show, so I guess we'll find out. So yeah, you can, if you so desire, you can untab the wings here and make him into a flying truck if you wish. Again, the wings are positionable to however you want. But if you want to pretend he's a flying truck, they are tabbed into the arms right here on the side, so you want to make sure to untab them and not just yank at them. But, yeah, you can bring some wings out, make him a winged truck, if you so desire. And it works that way anyway, because that's how we're going to start the transformation when we get to that anyway. Let's go ahead and tab them back together real quick and give them a few size comparisons with some other vehicles of interest. So there he is in regular truck mode, unadorned. Here he is with the Robots in Disguise Voyager Prime. And you can see he's a little shorter height-wise, but thanks to all the mass back here, he's a little bit bigger in general, a little bit more massive than the Rid Voyager. And same with the first edition, a little shorter height and lengthwise. And these two, roughly, if you just kind of weigh them, are roughly the same mass. There's about the same amount of plastic in them. They just use it differently, obviously, since they're different designs. But yeah. When I initially opened him up, he felt really light and hollow, and a lot of that's because he's big and he doesn't weigh a whole lot. There are some hollow parts, but not hollowed out parts like some of the previous lines have had with the big gappy stuff. And I'll explain that as we get through it. Here he is with Bumblebee Deluxe, and moving back here, and with Bulkhead. Bulkhead is a little taller here with the Dragon Grinder on, but a little shorter if you take it off. Just compare them as trucks. Optimus is a bigger truck than Bulkhead there. I'm going to take a break real quick and just transform all these ancillary guys over to robot mode for comparisons in just a second, and we'll be right back. Alrighty. Several transformations and a 20-minute phone call later for me, and just about a second and a half for you. We're back to go more in depth into this fine little specimen of Transformers lore. Beast Hunters Optimus Prime. Anyway, I don't know what I'm doing here. I am not Wild Kingdom. So yeah, to transform them like before, you want to go ahead and open up the wings, lift them up with this whole wing assembly up off the top of the truck. Fold these hooks that they do peg in here, fold these little claws down to the bottom, unhook these pieces from the legs, bring them around front, and you can see they tab together just like this. Bring this whole assembly down like this, unpeg the arms from the legs back here, and then the torso here flips up and rotates around there, bringing the actual abdomen for the robot mode in place. Unpeg the legs. You want to make sure to flip out the heels. It's something I forget to do several times during the day, and he looks okay with the foot, and he will stand if you leave his heels flipped in, but he does have heels that help him become much more solid that flip out the back. So yeah, there's the lower half of him done. Coming up top here, you want to take the arms, fold them around, and they tab right here onto what become his mirrors in truck mode. You just tab them on like that. And again, flip the arm around, tab it on like that. His head flips up from inside the body. And you come around here, and this piece, actually, you want to take these claws and fold them all the way down. And this piece comes up and sits in here. There's kind of a little divot right here. And this just sits right in there. Again, you just kind of lift the whole thing up like that. You can see it sits there behind his head. And then this piece comes down over that, and there's a couple little tabs here on the underside that fit into a couple little slots here on this. So you bring this on and snap it on over that, and that forms his backpack. These pieces right here you can fold up like this and store the wing bits behind him. Puts his smokestacks kind of up facing backwards, but up there behind his shoulder. You leave these down, and then and as of right there, you've got a pretty decent, powerful looking Prime, and he looks pretty cool. When I mentioned hollow earlier, there's a lot of empty space inside his legs, less than I thought originally, but still a lot of empty space in here. But instead of leaving them hollow and gappy and open like they have on some previous figures, they do in fact cover those up, so you don't see it, even though it is technically hollow inside there. Same with the forearms. There's not a whole lot of plastic in there, but they don't leave it gappy or exposed. They cover all the surfaces, so it looks nice and powerful, and uses a little bit less plastic. And so, like I said, he's deceptively light for his size. But he does weigh about the same as first edition Prime, so he's not really using less plastic. They're just using it in a different way to give him a larger stature here. So yeah. And there is his basic robot mode, just by itself. He can hold these in his hands as guns. He can also obviously hold the Star Saber that comes with him, which is pretty cool. And then also you can use the jetpack. Back here, before we get into that, these missiles can also store back here as kind of jet thrusters for his flying gimmick. They can store either back here or on the wing, which we'll show in just a second. But there's a peg hole on either side that allows you to store the thrusters back behind him if you don't want him to be holding them. Get this out of here again. One side, I am getting a little bit of a stress mark there around the peg hole. Just something to be aware of. So yeah, and then the wings themselves, like I said, they can fold back here for storage. You can flip them out to the side, and you can have, if you want to have them like this, you can. Once you do that, these rotate around pretty freely around this hinge, as well as they split, and you can have the smaller one go up top, or you can have the bigger one angle up. If you have the bigger, whatever one you push up will angle down to, will angle all the way up, and the small one can angle all the way down around underneath here. If you go this way, if you go with the small one on top, it can go all the way straight up, but the big wing can only come down to about right here before it starts snagging and not being able to fold in anymore, just by the way it's designed. So it's really up to you how you want to do the wings. You can have them with the smokestack, and it does bring the smokestacks if you do them like this, behind his shoulders, the way where they commonly sit. So you can do the wings like this, and you can see the peg holes here where if you wanted to, you could snap on the thrusters, although that does on this side. at least, depending on how you angle it, cause it to droop a little bit. You can have it, if you just want one wing, you can have it like that. Just give him some extended wings there. It's really up to you. I mean, you really have your own choice of that. These shoulder pauldrons, I like to leave him down when he doesn't have his jetpack up and flip him up when the jetpack's activated, just to give him more of a flight type look to him. But again, this is the thing. There's a lot of things you can do with him that really come down to personal preference. So if you don't like some of the way the pictures have been posed, you've got a lot of options. I know a lot of people aren't big on the head. He does have a little bit of a grimace, a mouthless faceplate, or a no faceplate. He's got a mouth and green eyes, which I know a lot of people are not thrilled with. It's a neat looking face. It kind of evokes Optimus Primal a little bit. And again, some people are going to like that and some people aren't. And I get that. I'm really digging him. I'm really, really digging him because he has a lot of design elements from just about every major incarnation of Prime over the years. Not all of them, but I mean, like, he's got elements of Star Convoy and G1 Optimus and Optimus Primal and Cybertron Convoy or Cybertron Optimus and even Prime Optimus and some new elements besides. Like, he's just really neat looking and just a really nice looking figure. I really do quite like him quite a bit. Go ahead and do a quick size comparison with him here. Back this up. Here he is with his fellow Beast Hunter Autobots so far, Bumblebee and Bulkhead. Just to get an idea of how they stand up next to him. Bumblebee comes up to a little under his waist, and Bulkhead comes up, actually, head-wise about the same height. His armor makes him stand a little taller in relation to at the very, very tip-top of his body. And compared with the other Voyagers in the line, here he is with the robots in disguise. They are right next to each other. It doesn't look like it on the camera, but they are arm to arm here. It's just weird. It's weird because when I come down and look at the camera, it looks like he's sitting a couple inches in front of him, but he's not. He's right next to him. And then here he is with the first edition. So, to the top of the head, Beast Hunters Prime is the tallest. He is the most massive, just size-wise. Like I said, weight-wise, he feels like he's about the same weight as the first edition. But because a lot of that weight, instead of having a solidly packed arm like this, where this whole arm is pretty much plastic and these are hollow, it uses about the same, like I said, about the same weight of plastic. It just uses it in more open, hollow pieces to give him a little bit more bulk. But all in all, he's a great figure. I think he'd make a great addition to any collection. One last thing, if you did get the Arms Micron weapon sets, it's almost like, especially the shield, he's like the exact same color plastic for the shield, but he looks great holding the Skyboom shield and the Dark Matter caliber. It's almost like they were made for him. He's just awesome looking like that. So that's where they're going, and then you can store the engines / blasters and the sword on his back in robot mode, which means you can have him holding this and still keep his signature weapons without having to chuck them off to the side. So yeah, and like I said, if you don't like this design, and I totally understand it if you do, I personally love it. I think it's great. I would recommend this figure very highly. If you don't like it, if it just really is not your cup of tea, I think you can find some things to like about it just for what it says about the Transformers Prime line going forward. One, we're getting bigger Voyagers again. That's nice. Yes, some of the pieces are a little bit more hollow and not as solid all the way through as the other pieces, but they're not any less strong, and it's allowing them to make larger size Voyagers, which is nice. Two, no Powerizer gimmick. I think that is already a step in the right direction, and that we're getting some missile launchers and the Star Saber, some actual, even if it's green, show weapons and just better weapons for the characters than those Powerizer things that were just so horrible. And you don't have to worry about like locking the weapon out or having it spring back or the way they fold up those battery-operated monstrosity packs attached to every single weapon. A couple of them came off okay, in the long run, but still, you don't have to worry about those battery packs. I think they're trying some new stuff, and even if you don't like Prime's design, there's some really clever things going on. But even like, Bumblebee's pretty much straight up the same figure, but with Bulkhead and Prime so far, there's some really clever stuff going on with the transformations. Like they're kind of finding their feet again after that shakeup when Eric left at the beginning of Prime line, when they went from the first edition line into the Robots in Disguise line. And I think they had some new designers. Maybe some people who had been lower in the design team stepping up and just kind of find their footing. And I think they're starting to find it if they haven't already found it already. I think they're getting some really neat engineering back into these figures. So even if you're not a big fan of this Prime, I get that. That's cool. But I think you can find a lot of things to be encouraged about with this figure. So even if you hate him, you should like him for those facts at least. But yeah, all in all, he's very awesome. He's very great. He's showing up at Canadian retail. Keep your eye out. He's showing up overseas, and at retail. And I think if you keep an eye out, we're probably going to start seeing sightings in the States probably within the next week or two at the most. But he is, like I said, he is showing up for sale overseas. He is showing up for sale in Canada. So keep your eye out because it could be any day now that these start showing up here in the States. But yeah, there he is, Beast Hunters Voyager Optimus Prime.